right, good evening, everybody. This meeting is called to order. Good evening and welcome to the City Commission meeting of the City of Boynton Beach. Today is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, and the time is now 6 p.m. Before we proceed any further, I want to remind everybody of our rules of civility and decorum. Speakers must first be addressed by the chair and not interrupt any other speakers. Public comment must be addressed to the board as a whole and not to any particular individual on the dais or in the audience. If you need to address something, address it towards me. Disruptive behaviors, personal attacks, insults, all of that are strictly prohibited. Should you violate these rules, you'll be provided a warning, and should it persist, you may be asked to leave this meeting. Let's begin now with the roll call. Let's turn to our city clerk. Good evening, Mei Lee. If you could do us the honor.
Mayor Panserga.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Cruz.
Here.
Commissioner Hay.
Here.
Commissioner Turkin.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation for this evening will be led by Commissioner Woodrow Hay, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Commissioner Angela Cruz. Let's all stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come this evening with gratitude as we open this meeting, seeking your wisdom, guidance, and grace. We acknowledge that every good and perfect gift comes from you. And we ask for your presence to dwell among us as we serve the people of this great city of Boynton Beach. Lord, we ask that you continue to bless our city staff, our police department, our firefighters, and all others. May we all commit to serving others. And as we begin this meeting in the month of February, we honor and celebrate Black History Month, a time to reflect on the resilience, contributions, sacrifices of African Americans who have shaped this nation. Lord, we thank you for the trailblazers, the freedom fighters, the educators, the leaders, and the everyday heroes who have paved the way for justice and equality and opportunity. May their legacy inspire us to continue striving for a city and a nation where all people are treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. Bless our deliberations today. Grant us the wisdom to make decisions that uplift our community, the courage to stand for what is right, and the unity to work together for the good of all. May our leadership as City Council members of Boynton Beach reflect your love, justice, and truth. We ask it all in your holy name, Jesus the Christ. Let all God's people say, amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Commissioners Hay and Commissioner Cruz. Let's move on now to agenda approval, additions, deletions, corrections. Let's begin on my left. Commissioner Turkin, do you have any requests this evening? None. Commissioner Hay, anything from you?
No.
All right. Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have two things I would like to either add to future agenda or have quick discussions about them. One is the minor road extension. I've been speaking with staff. The county has done some kind of preliminary surveying of minor road west of Lawrence, and staff thinks it would be a good idea if any opposition of that extension would come directly from the dais, and so if we could have a discussion and possibly get a consensus on that issue, then that way staff can move forward.
Thank you, Vice
Andrew.
Mayor. Thank you for bringing that up. Is that something that staff would be ready to give a brief presentation on by next meeting, or even today, or what's your estimation?
Andrew, do you want to talk on that?
Yeah, if we could do it next meeting,
Okay.
on the 18th.
Next meeting, yeah.
Perfect.
All right, I have no objection to that. Anything from my colleagues? Go. All right.
And
Vice Mayor?
then the other one, as part of the budget process and approvals, one of the things that was approved was an increase to the fire assessment to do some much-needed improvements through the fire department. And I was just looking for a status from the fire department with regard to the plans of Fire Station 3, the Marine Unit station. And so I wanted to either, if the chief is not ready to do that tonight, if we can put that on the next meeting to get an update and a status as to what that is.
All right, thank you for that. I fully support those requests. And is that something for today that staff would be ready for, or next meeting?
No, we can give a brief preliminary tonight, and then we can give a more robust discussion probably at the next meeting. If that's, we can give you a preliminary update, because I know we had a lot of discussions in the past couple of weeks. We can update you to that point. But as far as specific numbers and things like that, it'll probably be about a week
Okay,
till the next meeting.
I think that we can probably, I'm comfortable waiting until the next meeting to have it all as opposed to kind of chopping up the conversation.
I like that. So both next meeting. All right, and does that cover everything, Vice
Yes,
Mayor?
that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Cruz, anything from you?
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing new today, but I had requested something at the last commission meeting, and I know that staff has been working on doing the research. I just don't see it on the future agenda items. We were supposed to discuss that at the next commission meeting on February 18th, and it was a discussion with regard to construction hours within residential areas. I do think staff, because they've been working diligently on doing the research on that, and they have communicated with me, but I just want to make sure it's on the agenda for next meeting.
Construction hours near residential. Okay, so I assume that'll be ready by next meeting as well. I got a head nod over there.
Yes, it will be.
Okay,
So much.
all right. Go ahead, Commissioner, were you about to say
Are
something?
you looking for future agenda items?
Yeah, it's additions,
Okay.
deletions, corrections, either today or for next meeting.
Yeah, well, it's not for next meeting, but sometime in the near future. There's a lot of talk about, I know we have the best water in the whole country, but there's a lot of talk about fluorides in the water, and I thought we would be proactive and start some research and to just kind of tell us what's going on. And that may be something we may have to make a decision on down the road. But I thought maybe we would start now looking into that. It's not something that you got to have at the next meeting or nothing like that. But I think it's something that we need to get a heads up on and see where we're going.
I think they're actually going to be having a discussion at the federal level on that very topic, Commissioner Hay. So I'm assuming that maybe we could wait until they roll out whatever thought process they have as far as fluoride goes, and then we can kind of maybe piggyback off
Piggyback on that.
what their direction is, if that's okay with you, I mean.
That's good. That's good. Thank you.
All right, anything else from my colleagues? If, Vice Mayor?
No, can we make sure that that ends up on future agenda, because I don't want that to get lost. And then also there were two other things that we had added to future agenda items last meeting. One was rules and regulations on the dais that Commissioner Hay brought up. And also I had a note that says beautification for February 4th, but I'm not really sure what that was supposed to be. So, because I only wrote one word. So it had something to do with the beautification plan, but.
Yes, that was, I had requested if we could have a task force. Remember, there was that back and forth, whatever exactly we call it. And I think we settled on, let's try that for now and see what happens in the future. I didn't really have any more additional inputs besides what I said in the meeting, but
Okay.
I just want to make sure that residents have a role in shaping the long-term beautification and cleanliness plan, and the details, we can leave it to the committee.
Perfect. So I just didn't want that to get lost in the shuffle.
No,
either.
I appreciate that. And so let's make sure that is under future agenda. Hopefully that'll be ready by next meeting. And what was the other rules and regulation to what?
This, Commissioner Hay had
Oh,
put it on there. It was
yes.
rules and regulations on the dais and just of the meeting and procedurally. But I had that marked down for March. Sorry. The 18th? Yeah.
Okay, I made note of all of this. Was that it?
Yep.
Good. All right, if there's nothing else from my colleagues, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? We have a
Second.
motion from Commissioner Hayter, second from Vice Mayor Kelly. All those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as amended, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We're now going to turn to informational items by members of the City Commission. This time I'll begin on my right, Commissioner Cruz, if you have any informational items.
I spoke with staff as well as Municipal regarding the, I think it's item, is it 8K or,
I don't know what you're referring to.
and Amanda, what's the item that we talked about? The, Amanda, 8A? 8A, yes. Thank you.
Okay, so that is the proposed ordinance. Okay, all right. Anything else?
And residents as well, I got phone calls and emails.
All right, Vice Mayor?
No, I don't have any informational items or disclosures, just wanted to thank our arts and cultural team, and, Craig and all of his leadership in really planning and
Kelly.
Kelly, oh, of course, Kelly. The kinetic art, international kinetic art experience, it was a great time. Everyone seemed to have a great time and come out. So just thank you to staff for always putting together a great art experience. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hay.
Yes. In appreciation for this February Black History Month, we pause to appreciate the significance of Black history, a time to reflect on the rich heritage, resilience, and contributions of African Americans to this nation. Celebrated every February, this month is more than just a remembrance. It is a celebration of excellence, perseverance, and the unbreakable spirit of a people who have shaped the very foundation of America. We honor the trailblazers from Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and John Lewis, whose courage in the face of oppression paved the way for freedom and equality. We celebrate scientists, inventors, educators, artists, and leaders, people like George Washington Carver, Madam C.J. Walker, Thurgood Marshall, Barack Obama, who have left a lasting impact on our nation and the world. Black History Month is more than just about the past. It is about the present and the future. It is a reminder that the fight for justice, equality, and opportunity continues. It calls on all of us, regardless of race, to learn, grow, and build a society where diversity is embraced and every contribution is valued. As we celebrate this month, let us commit to keeping this history alive, not just in February, but every day of the year. Let us honor the sacrifices and achievements of those who came before us by contributing and continuing to strive for a future where freedom, justice, and unity truly define America. Thank you. One last one. The premiere announcement. We're asking that you join us this Friday at First Fridays. It's Black History Month edition for the highly anticipated premiere of Curfew to Unity. It's a powerful documentary highlighting the journey of Boynton Beach's Unity Project. When is Friday, February the 7th? Location right here at Centennial Park and Amphitheater. And the time is 5 to 9 p.m. and it's going to be during the break of the band. So once you finish doing your first phase of dancing, pause, listen to this great documentation, and then go back to dancing. All right. This special screening marks the the one-year anniversary of the Unity Project, showcasing the impact of community resilience and progress. Be part of this historic moment as we honor Black history and celebrate unity in Boynton Beach. I'd like to pause for a quick teaser on social media, and we can play it in 1 minute and 13 seconds, just to give you a little preview, if it's all right with the commissioners. So if it's okay, let me just take that minute and 13 seconds to, is it on? You guys have it to roll? Oh, you're right, man. You guys on the job.
100 years in the making. Tonight, Boynton Beach City Commissioners voted unanimously to repeal 3 segregation ordinances.
They say the rules were known as sundown laws and were commonly used throughout the country to enforce segregation.
Reflect back on what Boynton used to be. I've seen tremendous growth. And what I mean by that is that there was a restricted area that blacks were to restrict themselves in.
That was the norm of how things were done, and 9 times out of 10, we were always not included in what other type of decisions that were being made in the community where you were living.
And when I first came down here, I'm hearing horror stories about segregation or racism, you know, blacks weren't able to go across Seacrest or Swinton Avenue to get to the beach. Like 10, 15 years before that, I've never heard of that being out of New York City. My best friends were black. And so now I know that I'm a white officer in the black community trying to make them believe in me and vice versa. And lo and behold, they started coming one by one.
It is part of our history, but it's not part of our future. Boynton Beach has no place for discrimination or injustice, and with our act today, we are putting an end to it.
Thank you very much. We look to see you on Friday.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hay.
Thank you.
Let me turn now to Commissioner Turkin.
I did speak with Bonnie, staff, and some members of the community regarding AA.
All right, thank you. We're going to turn now to the next portion of the agenda. I'm going to come back to the proclamation in a few minutes, but let's make the announcements first. The first announcement is Magic Wheels and Special Deals. The Magic Wheels and Special Deals event, which includes a disability service resource fair, music, live performances, and the Magic Wheels unveiling. This free, family-friendly event is from 5 to 8 p.m. Thursday, February 6, 2025, at the Ezell Hester Jr. Community Center, which is located in 1901 North Seacrest Boulevard. It is hosted by Recreation and Parks. The next announcement is the Boynton Beach Dog Potty on the Beach. It is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon on Saturday, February 15th at Oceanfront Park. That's 6415 North Ocean Boulevard. This is the final Oceanfront Park event of the season. This month's theme is Puppy Love. Dogs and their owners are encouraged to dress up in Valentine's Day attire and enjoy giveaways, a photo contest sponsored by Raising Cane's, and more. This event is free for all well-behaved licensed dogs and their owners. Dogs will be allowed off-leash in a designated fenced area. Parking at Oceanfront Park is free for all beach patrons for the duration of the event. This event is hosted by the Recreation and Parks Department. For more information, you can visit the city's website, boynton-beach.org. The last announcement we have is for the 13th annual Barrier-Free 5K, which is on Saturday, February 8th, 2025, the event, which is this Saturday. The event helps raise money for the expansion of the park, which was designed to accommodate individuals with disabilities by providing a place to play, laugh, and live without limits. The 5K, which is hosted by the Greater Boynton Beach Foundation and the Recreation and Parks Department, will start at 7:30 a.m. at Congress Avenue, Barrier-Free Park. That's located at 3111 South Congress Avenue. For more information and 5K registration, you can go to barrierfree5k.pbrace.com. That's barrierfree5k.pbrace.com. event.pbrace.com. We don't have the proclamation ready just yet, but I know that it's on its way, so we're going to continue with the agenda, and then we're going to move back to the proclamation. The next portion of the agenda is public audience. As always, individuals are given 3 minutes per person. Again, our rules of civility and decorum apply, and after all those in the chambers have spoken, we'll go to those online. For those of you online, I will let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining, so you can pace yourself. We'll be taking notes as you make your statements. We do have 2 podiums in the front, so make your way up and let it be known. Commissioner Hay, would you like to make a comment briefly before we begin?
Just before they start, I overlooked one important event that I attended. I caught the last part of it, but it was just outstanding. That was the kinetic art.
Yes.
That was off the chain. And so my congratulations to staff on putting on such a great event. Thank you very much, okay? Thank you, thank you.
Staff.
Thank you, thank you.
There you go. Thank you. All right, thank you. Give me one moment. Let me switch the timer. Again, it's 3 minutes per person. We'll be taking down notes as you're speaking. You can begin here and state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Sirianni, and I am an owner at Hampshire Gardens here in Boynton Beach. I'm here along with John Badway at 2121 Northeast First Court. I thank you for this opportunity to speak regarding the improvements that we would like to have made at J.C. Park, specifically the bocce court area of the park. We represent a group of about 30 Boynton Beach taxpayers, of which on any given day, there's 12 to 20 players playing 6 days a week at the bocce courts. 2 years ago, a large investment was made at J.C. Park for the recreation of the dogs, and we're asking for a smaller improvement for the recreation of the people, not only us who play bocce, but for the community as well that enjoy the park and the courts. We maintain the courts as best we can. Certainly, if you compare the courts at J.C. Park to the ones at Meadow, to the one at Meadow, you'll see a vast difference in the quality and the playability of the court. You know, we really respect the courts. We enjoy it, but we also make sure that they're being maintained. We're not asking for a lot, but we're asking for some help. We've been asking for the last several years to have a few things done. One, the first thing that we'd like to have done, it's very simple, is a repositioning of the sprinkling system, or one sprinkling head that is aimed on the court. So every morning, the court is extremely wet on that section of the court, and specifically, it's the south section of the eastern bocce court. So there's 2 bocce courts, the eastern one, south section. The other thing that we'd like to have is some kind of shade protection. We see that at the dog park, there's 5 pavilions to provide wonderful shade for the dog owners, and I'm a dog owner myself, and I appreciate that. But we're out playing bocce with the sun beating down on us. We'd like to see if it would be possible to allocate some funds to put some type of shading on either end of the courts so that we can have, you know, we're not getting sunburned and heat stroke. We'd also like to have a little bit larger signage because for digging. You know, the kids have a tendency to dig in the courts, and there are some small signs there. We like to have ones that maybe a little bit more bold, a little larger, to help emphasize the fact that they shouldn't be digging in the bocce courts. It's not a sandbox. We also would like to have, if possible, a storage locker for us to be able to store the equipment that we use to maintain the courts. You provided a sweeper, we appreciate that, and we use it. But we also have a lot of other things that we bring out of our trunks back and forth, and it'd be nice to have just a small storage locker to put some things in. We also like to have, underneath the shade canopies, some benches, and just to trim the trees back. But we'd just like to, you know, a few things to help with the bocce courts for us and the citizens of Boynton Beach. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, next speaker.
Hello again, David Merker here. Commissioner Hay, thank you. The key of our country is our Constitution, and if you listen to the news, it's been a question mark where different people, different groups want to alter it or change it. By you bringing up Black History Month as a prime example, the 14th Amendment, which is crucial, which brings people together. Another subject which was brought up by a citizen last week is the discussion of the CRA board, not controlled, not dominated by just the commission, but going back to at least having 2 citizens so we can get the input from them besides those elected. I think that's crucial. It should be put on your agenda. And lastly, personally, I brought it up last week. Again, it has to do with comparing our city to the cities around us, dealing with the major majority and the simple majority of the hiring and firing of people that can affect our city. So please, the last 2, the CRA, the major majority, remember, laws are created by this country to obey. And we, the people, the mass, that give you the opportunity to sit back there, listen to what we have to say. And I thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, let me reset the timer before you begin. All right, when you're ready.
My name is Christy, and I live at 405 Southwest 4th Street. And 3rd Avenue comes right towards me, and then I'm kind of catty corner. We've had a tenant there on 3rd Street, 3rd Avenue, that has their grass as high as I am, just about. I spoke to Commissioner Turkin back in December, and he got with the right people and was relaying them what I had said about this tenant that's got, I mean, you don't know, they might have snakes in there, who knows? And nothing's been done. It's still just like it was. I did have the city manager reach out to me one time, and I haven't seen anything else done. Now, that's part of our city. That's part of our neighborhood, and it looks ugly. We're trying to clean it up, not mess it up. And then the other thing is we had a beautiful brick intersection at Seacrest and Boynton Beach Boulevard, and they covered it with black tar. I thought we were trying to make the place look beautiful. I mean, now we have the colorful one back here in this intersection. Why can't we have our bricks and make it look a lot prettier than having just black tar everywhere? That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, you may begin when you're ready.
Don Vargas, 219 Southwest 9th Avenue. First, let me introduce myself for some of you that don't know me in this room. I'm Don Vargas, and I'm running for District 3 of the Boynton Beach City Commission. I grew up here in Boynton Beach. I graduated from Boynton Beach High, and I got the opportunity to attend George Washington University and do some work in the Hill in DC, which I'm very grateful for. But today I really want to talk about the importance of voting. Your vote is your voice, and it's how we shape the future of our city, of Boynton Beach, to ensure that it works for all of us and not just a select few. Elections like this one coming up in March are really important because the turnout is very low and they really impact our daily lives, whether it's housing, public safety, to even the way the City Hall works for us. It's extremely important. So I wanted to give you all some resources about voting by mail. Like I said, this year, voting by mail is more important than ever. It's convenient, it's secure, and it ensures that your voice is actually heard. And even if you can't make it to the polls on Election Day, you're able to voice your concerns through your vote. But here's something even more important. So due to recent changes in Florida legislature, voters have to reapply for their vote by mail ballot. Even if you voted by mail in the past, this November, you have to reapply. So I'm going to give you guys some key dates to do this. The deadline to request your vote by mail ballot is Thursday, this month, February 27th, by 5 p.m. As some of you know, Election Day is on Tuesday, March 11th. And polls open at 7 a.m., they close at 7 p.m. It's really easy to renew your vote by mail ballot. You can do it online. It's votepalmbeach.gov. or you can call 561-656-6208. Again, we really need you to vote. We need you to make your voice heard. And, we don't get enough turnout these March elections, so I really encourage you to come out and vote. And before I close, I really wanted to thank the editorial board at the Sun-Sentinel. They gave us an endorsement. I'm very happy that they believe in my vision for Boynton Beach. It means the world, and I want to remind you to vote for Don Vargas March 11th. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next speaker, other podium. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Renstein of Northeast 2nd Street. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank the Boynton Beach Police Department for their continued efforts in keeping our community safe. It has been 2 weeks without any reported shootings on Northeast 2nd Street, and their increased patrolling is truly making a difference. Their presence is not only felt, but also shaping positive behavior. Just the other day, I witnessed a driver blaring loud music, yet as soon as they spotted an officer, the volume dropped to the point where I could hear birds chirping. This level of enforcement fosters a sense of security and helps maintain property values in our area. I also want to extend my gratitude to the Community Standards Department and the Business Tax Division for their hard work in upholding the city's appearance while demonstrating professionalism and compassion. Their efforts do not go unnoticed, and they play a crucial role in keeping Boynton Beach a desirable place to live and do business. Today, I want to bring attention to the mayor and legal department on ongoing concern, the accuracy and usability of the City of Boynton Beach's website. Did you know that the website contains outdated information? The Department of Directory still lists incorrect contact details, making it difficult for residents to reach the right person. Additionally, the language selection bar is positioned at the bottom right instead of being placed at the top, where users naturally look first. We read from top to bottom and left to right. Placing it prominently would improve accessibility. I have raised these concerns, yet the pace of change is frustratingly slow. At this rate, I might retire before I see the updates implemented. As a web developer of 20 years, I can confidently say there's no excuse for delays. I would be out of a job if I was the web developer in a private business. But why does this matter so much to me? Because it ties into a broader issue, public nuisance properties. The city's code of ordinance is outdated, and this creates a serious loopholes that property owners can exploit. I recently discovered that if a property owner is cited for a public nuisance, they can easily erase the violation history by simply transferring ownership to another individual or LLC. This resets the clock, making it seem as if the property was never cited while the nuisance continues. Meanwhile, other violations like debris-related liens can stay attached to a property for up to 20 years due to statute of limitations. This inconsistency makes no sense. Why should one violation disappear with a single ownership transfer while another lingers for decades? This highlights a critical flaw in our system, one that is magnified by the city's outdated ordinance and website. If residents and officials can't easily access accurate, up-to-date regulations, how can we effectively enforce them? The city's legal team, code enforcement, and all relevant departments must come together to update these ordinances and close these loopholes. A well-maintained city isn't just about enforcing rules. It's about having clear, accessible, and up-to-date policies that truly serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker on the other podium. Good evening.
Geez, I don't want to follow that. Susan Oyer. So I have several things to comment on tonight. First of all, I'll start with the MLK quote. Thank you, Commissioner Hay, for bringing this up and reminding us it's Black History Month. 6 words. What are you doing for others? That's my favorite quote by him. So think about that. What are you doing for others? Obviously, I'm here to talk about 8A, as you've gotten my email. So I'm going to say once again, please, we need to transfer the title from the developer over to the city. And you need to get $300,000 or more to cover the costs, which means we won't have to deal with raising funds or doing anything that would hurt the budget, because you guys are going to hand them a piece of taxpayer-owned land. The least you can do is get, a partial amount of the value of that land in exchange for getting the title and paying to cover the costs of moving the Andrews house. I'll move on at this point because you know exactly what I was going to say about that. I sent you an email. I want to say what a great time Kinetic was. Valerie Zucker, the special events person that was hired, did a great job, as did our city employees. It's nice to see Connecticut coming back and approaching what it was before. There's obviously still a ways to go, but a huge improvement. And I like that they were doing artist talks, which was one of the benefits that we used to have before. Number 4, I was driving by the cemetery again today and stuck in traffic, took a look over, and there's trees and bushes growing all over. I've brought this up many times over the years. If you're going to allow some people to plant trees and bushes in the cemetery where their loved ones are, then you need to let everyone do that. I want a purple jacaranda tree over me. So either get rid of all those trees and bushes and have the same rule for everyone, or let everyone start planting up. Again, I want a purple jacaranda tree, Dan. Number 5, I will bring up again, the red light by Publix on Gateway that makes everyone late to work at your second biggest employer in the city. When are you going to fix that? I was talking to our city commissioner about it this weekend. We need whoever sits on the MPO to be working on this. Also, that new light that you've put on Boynton Beach Boulevard that has not yet gone into effect, just before you get to 95, it's unneeded, unwanted, is going to do nothing but cause absolute chaos, so let's get rid of it now. And let's see, last thing. Let's see. Oh, the lady was talking about the paint on the intersections. Why aren't we using that paint, that water revealing paint, and paint our city seals on all the intersections, which I have brought up repeatedly for the last commission? That paint where when it rains, you can see the design, but the rest of the time it's dry. It'd make a nice kinetic piece of art for our city, and you can put them at all the major intersections, and it's just the paint with the, like a clear coat seal or whatever they put on top of it. You see it on water bottles and stuff too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker in the other podium.
Good evening. My name is Charles Hunt, 1330 Northwest First Court.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Is the mic on, or is it just me? Can you double check that it's green? There we go. All right, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Charles Hunt, 1330 Northwest First Court. I'm here again to ask you to please investigate the liens that has been put on our homes in Rolling Green in the past 2 years. For the city manager has had ample time to correct this problem, but nothing has been done of today. I still can't understand why he's still our city manager. After the performance he demonstrated on December 3rd, right here in this building, he came down from the podium and out into the audience to attack a resident who voiced his opinion. And the police had to stop this guy. The manager claimed that this person that he was attacking was a bully. But it's plain to see who the bully is. Just look how much larger he is than the guy he was attacking. Needless to say that these type actions cannot and should not be tolerated by a board of your caliber. All of my colleagues are afraid to speak up because of the repercussions. Tell me why can't our board see the bully in this city manager we have? Or are you also intimidated? However, we pay you to make the big decisions. Matthews 10:28. Be not afraid of those who could kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Thank you.
All right, next speaker.
Mike Fitzpatrick, 175 Southwest 2nd Street. 2 points. First, is a developer seriously engaging to move the historic Andrews House? I am on the outside looking in, and the view from where I am standing is a developer is doing nothing and just stringing the city along. Therefore, adding conditions of approval on the alleyway giveaway is a way to focus his attention. For decades, city commissioners have shied away from standing up to developers and acting like Boynton Beach is the last student being asked to the prom. I don't get it. I'm asking the commission to figure out a way for the developer to pay for moving the house. A second point, there is more to the history of the Andrews House than the descendants of a Confederate soldier lived there. The Confederate veteran bought the house from A.P. Parker, who was the first city manager of West Palm Beach, and perhaps developed the first golf course in Palm Beach County. A.E. Parker's wife was named Anna, and her father was a Union officer. So in reality, both sides of the Civil War have owned this house. Another interesting fact about Anna was her father, the Union officer, was no less than Major Boynton, founder of our city, which means it is highly likely Major Boynton visited his daughter and was very familiar with the Andrews House. This connection with the founder of our city is another reason to save this historic house. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next speaker. And if you'd like to speak, just form a line so we're aware to wait for you. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
My name is Tom Warnke, 9939 Seacrest Circle. I've got two handouts here. One is the 100th anniversary of the Women's Club of Boynton Beach. It's coming up in about 6 weeks. It's the 22nd of March. So please put the 22nd of March on your calendar. And we expect the new mayor will give one of his first addresses there. The other handout is the brochure from the Andrews House Committee. I'm not sure if you've seen our brochure, but if those can be passed around, you'll be able to see what we're doing to move the house and save it. I'm the vice chair of the committee, and I'm also the CRA liaison for the committee, so I'll be attending the CRA meetings continuing into the future. There's some things we know about the Andrews House. There's also some things the committee doesn't know, so we'd like some help with some clarification. We know the developer wants the house moved. We're sure about that because he wanted to knock it down and we came this close to having it demolished. Another thing that we know is Mr. Boynton, Nathan Boynton, his daughter lived in the house, so we know he visited there. And that's the only building in Boynton that can be said about that we know the founder of Boynton Beach visited the Andrews House. So it's not just the oldest home. There's more significance than that to it. There's some things we don't know, like who is the primary contact person with the developer from the city for negotiating the wishes of the city commission. We don't know if there's any direct contact between the city manager's office and the developer related to moving the Andrews House. We don't know if there's any direct contact with the developer by the CRA director related to moving the house. Number 4, what's the next step? If the commission wants a concession from the developer to help with the moving costs for the house, who negotiates that? We don't know that. Also, if funds are committed, please earmark those funds for moving the house. And a future agenda item would be great to add, the historic Andrews House, moving it and saving it.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Reedy. I wanted to say I have pity for all of you for the background information that you have to wade through. I made it to page 24 of the 254 pages on the mobility study. I was hoping to find out whether the train station has been eliminated from the mobility study, because the train station that we're never ever going to have is what is giving us the increased density that we've been experiencing in the city. So as you're beginning to talk about looking at the comprehensive plan, I will continue to wade through the 254 pages, as well as everything else that's in the backup information that you probably didn't get to, and I don't blame you. The other thing that I wanted to ask you to consider, please, is to ask the developer of the villages, as they come forward seeking an abandonment of the alleyway, that ask them to please help us pay to move the Andrews house. He was willing to let the city pay to move the Andrews house. He came before the Historic Resources Preservation Board twice, but they wanted us to move it onto his northern parcel. So my opinion at that time, and it still is, that if we were to pay, we being the city, were to pay to move it, that it would be ours. It would not be something we would put on his northern parcel. So I think this is an excellent opportunity to ask the developer to help us move it and save it. It's not an insignificant building. As Tom just told you, the roots of that building go back very, very, very far. So we don't have the history of, say, Boston or any of the big cities, but our history is what it is. And it would be nice if we could save it, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the next speaker. State your name for the record whenever you're ready.
My name's Carl Jones. I live at 2884 Southeast First Court. And I just got back into town, and there are large signs with speed bumps in my neighborhood, which is not a through street. And there were never signs posted that wasn't a through street. And it's kind of hard to navigate through there at any speed at all anyway. So other than them being in front of my house and not knowing how they decided to put them there without any kind of notification, I'd just like to be noted, I would like them moved. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, so we can follow up with you, could you leave your contact information with, what do we have from staff? Could somebody from staff? Kevin, thank you. All right, let's move on to the next speaker. I see one more in the room, and I see one person online waiting, or two more people in the room.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Flynn Holland, and I live on 618 South Seacrest Boulevard. First, I want to applaud the Kinetic Show was wonderful. The Bubble Lady and the music made it all wonderful. Kids and adults, I must have paid 2 hours in those bubbles. It was really great, and she did a good job, so thank you. She said that you take care of her and you pay her well, and I applaud that that's happening. I also really applaud that the police have been having a presence on Seacrest Boulevard, actually giving tickets, mainly in the morning. 4 o'clock is really the time, but people go by there 50, 60, 70 miles an hour during the daytime, especially if something's happening on the freeway, they cross over. So I applaud that there is a police presence now and something is happening. Hopefully it will slow down the road because there's accidents there all the time. I'm here for the Andrews house also. I would like to know what is happening. We talked a couple of weeks ago. We put it back into your house, the staff, and we've heard nothing. We've put a lot of energy as a group to be able to see what we can do in history, and we're going to have 2 meetings to be able to see what the public wants to do with the use. We were told that you needed, what would be the usages if we moved. We have not seen anything that has come from our queries. So we would really like to know if we will be moving on. We got a year, that was great, but as we know, everything moves really fast, and we have to have the availability to make plans for the future. I said, I would love to see it be a part of our visitor center, tea, coffee house. But those are the things that we will try to get the community together to talk about and present to you. But we really would like, in the future city council meetings, to be able to know what has gone forth. This abandoned alleyway does seem to be something that we could talk about in terms of you're giving something to them. It would be nice to have something maybe economically in return. So thank you very much for listening to me, and thanks a lot. And
Thank
good
you.
luck with everybody who's on the voting. I wish we get the best and the brightest. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Edgar Burton, City of Boynton, 10 years. I want to say thank you. January 19th, I dedicated my birthday to a community outreach, setting a platform for the people in the community to gain resources such as mental health support, health care, health checkups, financial literacy, hot meals, drinks, free shoes, free clothing, and more. We reached over 200 people that day. 73 people signed up for health care with Humana. 45 people spoke with mental health consultants. For the children, Palm Beach schools came out. They gave out free tutoring sections. We gave away PS5, Bluetooth speakers. We had bounce houses, ices for the kids. I want to say thank you to the police department for coming up, showing up for us. I want to give a special thanks to the city manager, Dan. I appreciate you. You came out the podium. You came to, hey, man, what do you need? I appreciate that. And Mr. Matt, man, thank you, man. The whole way through the whole process, you came to me, you asked me what else you need the whole way up until the day. I know you wanted to make it, but you had other plans that came up. Thank you again, appreciate it. Happy birthday, belated birthday again to you, man. I want to give a special thanks to a guy, Ray Whiteley, a great man of God, man. He came, he helped, he supported me, held my hand through the whole process. Charlene Edwards in the Boynton Utilities, Miss Mary with Parks and Rec. She walked me through the permanent process. Richard Dan with Trinity Counseling. Susan Oryer, appreciate you, thank you. Buzz Chicken, they gave out 20 free meal vouchers. I just want to do this annually, have this community outreach annually so we can have resources for the community, man, so people can have a platform to go somewhere to gain these resources. A lot of them are clueless. They don't know where to go. So we come together. I would like to partnership with the city annually and make this something annually so we can have this going forward to make the city of Boynton greater. I know we talk about future, we preach future. Let's make it happen. I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners and Mayor. Court McQuire, 506 Whispering Pines. I'll make it quick. I just wanted to say I serve as the Vice Chair on the CRA Advisory Board, and a few weeks back we presented to the CRA, to yourself, that we also are in agreement with the Andrews House. All of us as a board came together collectively and thought putting them together where the Oscar Magnuson House is was a really ideal scenario to almost serve as like a nucleus center for our community and attract people and to come downtown and actually spend more time than just, come in and out quickly. So I would look forward to you responding to all of our concerns and hopeful that will be the outcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That concludes all those in the room. Last call, was that a hand up? All right, come on up, you're the last one. And then we're gonna go to the one person online afterwards. Again, if you'd like to speak, please form a line so we know that you're interested in speaking. And you may begin whenever you're ready. State your name when you begin.
Hi, my name is Kathy. First time here, and I just want to say I'd really like to understand how the demolition permit was issued for this Andrews house. I'm not real familiar with all the ins and outs of the city here. I've been a resident in the city for 5 years now. And I did do some research online, looked at the CRA business, the comprehensive plan. I'm happy to hear that you're maybe looking at the comprehensive plan again. But it just seems like, from what little I know about the development that's been going on here, that maybe the city has strayed from the intent. And I'm really concerned about the density, I understand that some height restrictions were lowered at one point, but it's still an awful lot of apartments coming down the pike in this area here. And it's, in my humble opinion, way too many. And from watching the meetings, I watched some of these meetings online from home, the CRA meeting, these commission meetings, and it really seems that there's been a lot given to these developers. Way too, and that's city money that is being given to them to, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. There's not enough money going into infrastructure and water and other things to have so many apartments and parking. I mean, I saw one thing where they talked about, oh, they're going to give us, X amount of public parking. But it's metered parking. Metered parking. And the city gets a small portion, less than 50% of the revenue from that? What about the residents? I don't know. Something's just not right. And I really, hope that I like the idea that I heard here tonight about having residents as part of an advisory thing with this CRA, because there's a lot of money there. There's a lot of money, and I think we really need to, think twice and, look at the big picture, not just one developer here and one developer there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to the speaker online. His name is Mr. Charles Garaji. Let's unmute that individual. You may begin, sir, when you're ready. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining, and state your name for the record when you begin. Mr. Garaji. Going once. IT, is he there? I can't really see what they're saying. Going once, going twice.
Hello?
Oh, there we go, just in the nick of time. All right.
Thank you. My name is Charles Garaji. I have emailed my situation to Amy Kelly. Andrew Mack is familiar with it, so is Daniel Duggar, and so is Adam Templeman. And I think a few days ago I spoke to the city attorney. One of my employees in my office stole $5.5 million. He gave $60,000 to his brother. We raised it with the Boynton Beach Police. And as I made clear, and Ms. Kelly, if you would, I'd like you to distribute the entire board. What the problem is here is the city is not communicating with the state attorney's office. To the credit of the chief of police, he invited somebody from the state attorney's office to your office, and they're just not responsive. So when I ask why his brother's not being arrested, the state attorney's office says, well, it's the city's problem. When I ask the city, obviously they say the state attorney's office. Now, I'm an attorney. I'm licensed to practice in 2 states, California and Florida. It's clear to me that the state attorney's office is not cooperating. So I need to know what to do. Amy Kelly, since my building's in the 4th District, I'd appreciate it if you would give me some advice how we could get the 2 parties together. The other thing I've noticed in Boynton Beach, there's a crime epidemic in the city, and nobody's talking about it. If you look at statistics on the internet, if you want me to prepare a data sheet, I will. But from like neighborhoodscott.com, okay, there's 143 crimes per square mile in Boynton Beach. In Florida, as an average, there's 40. The national average is 26. So after the experience that I had and the police reluctance to arrest people and a state attorney's reluctance to prosecute people, I can see why this is happening. But what I really need is I need advice. If not, I'll go to the governor's office or I'll go where I need to go. I would appreciate your cooperation in this regard. Commissioner or Vice Mayor Kelly has my email address, so does Andrew Mack, so does Daniel Duggar. So I'll wait for your email response for the next couple of weeks. If I don't get a response, I'll have to go elsewhere. But we've been in the community since 2008. Our address is 2400.
30 seconds.
We have large tenants. We've paid our taxes. And all that I ask is we have one meeting with the Boynton Beach Police in the state attorney's office. And to me, it's the state attorney's office that's the problem. But I need a solution here and I can't find one. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you. All right, that concludes all of public audience. Let me turn now to the proclamation, and thank you so much, Mr. Mosley, for waiting so patiently. This is to recognize the Boca Raton Bowl and its positive impact on the city of Boynton Beach, and accepting it will be the Boca Bowl Executive Director, Doug Mosley, and Director of Events and Media, Paige Kornblues. Paige here? All right, hi, Paige. Let me read the proclamation into the record. I'll come down and present it to you. The proclamation reads as follows: whereas the partnership of the Boca Raton Bowl with Izell Hester Jr. Field has brought recognition and enhanced opportunities for the Boynton Beach community, and whereas the selection of Izell Hester Jr. Field as a practice site for the Boca Raton Bowl reflects the dedication of the city of Boynton Beach to supporting sports and athletic initiatives, and whereas this collaboration has provided local athletes, families, and residents with unique experiences and inspiration, further strengthening the bond between the city of Boynton Beach and the wider athletic community. And whereas the Boca Raton Bowl has positively impacted Boynton Beach, highlighting the importance of partnerships and promoting athleticism, teamwork, and community pride. Now, therefore, I, Ty Penserga, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby recognize and honor the Boca Raton Bowl for their outstanding partnership and contributions to our community in connection with the selection of Izell Hester Jr. Field as a practice site for the Boca Raton Bowl. So thank you so much for all that you do for us. Doug, if you could come up and accept the proclamation with Paige, and if you'd like to say a few words about the great work that you guys are doing.
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you to staff. They were fantastic. James Madison University, who practiced at the field, had nothing but fantastic things to say about the cooperation of everybody representing the city. It's a tradition in football that we give out a game ball. So we've got a game ball for y'all. And and I know that I'm kind of mixing metaphors here when I say y'all really hit a home run with this year. I've been so impressed with this facility that you've built, and I've been so impressed with the opportunities that are in front of you. I kind of got another gig where I serve as the president of the board of the Palm Beach County Sports Commission, and I'd love to have staff come to our meeting next month to be able to talk about this facility and what it can bring to Boynton Beach. Thank you to all y'all. Thank you to staff. We couldn't have been more thrilled with the partnership and look forward to going forward many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug and Paige. And Paige informed me that there is a football for everybody in the dais. Is that right? All right. Do you guys want to come down and get it, or sure. Let's bring it up?
Just throw it.
No, I don't know about throwing it.
I got it.
Thank you, guys.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Use that for the Super Bowl.
The Boca Bowl.
It's under ethics. It's $35.
Okay, all right, just gotta make sure.
Yeah.
You. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, you two. and we will definitely stay in touch. All right, moving on to the next portion of the agenda, which is Administrative City Advisory Board appointments. I've opened the list, and if we could open the list on the computer screen as well. The first one, we do have an applicant, Shannon Schmitz, for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Commissioner Cruz, I believe that is your nomination if you would like to make one.
I'll go ahead and nominate Shannon Schmitz.
All right, is there a second to that? All right, all those in favor of the nomination to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. We have no applicant to the Art Advisory Board, to the Building Board of Adjustment and Appeals, Education and Youth Advisory Board, Historic Resources Preservation Board, which is quasi-judicial, Recreation and Parks Board. We do have an applicant for the alternate seat, which is currently vacant. Again, Commissioner Cruz, that nomination goes to you.
I'll go ahead and nominate Barry Doctor.
Okay, is there a second? Again, from Commissioner Hay. All those in favor of the nomination of Barry Doctor to the Recreation and Parks Board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And we have no applicant to the Senior Advisory Board. So if you're interested in contributing to your city, this is just one of those ways. And the way to do that is to go to the city clerk's website to get more information and to apply. All right, that concludes that item. We're now moving under consent. Are there any items that my colleagues would like to pull under consent? And I do have one request for myself. That request is 6H regarding the report for the mobility fee. If staff could just give an overview of that at minimum. And is there any other requests from my colleagues?
Yes, I would like to pull 6A.
6A.
D as in dog.
All right.
And I as in Inga.
Any other request? All right, with that, may I have a motion to approve the remainder of consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Turkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor of approving the remainder of consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's move on now. Let's address the pulled items in order. The first one is 6A, proposed resolution number R25-030, approve a letter of commitment for the city of Boynton Beach to become an interstate Renewable Energy Council charging smart designated community. Who do we have on staff for that? Mr. Mack?
Yeah, I can speak to that.
All right, great.
I just wanted, excuse me, to explain that a little bit more for the benefit of the public, so they understand a little bit better what's happening.
Perfect. So this item is being brought to you to commit to join the Interstate Renewable Energy Council. It's very similar to SoulSmart. They have a program that we're already a part of, which helps us place solar and give us different resources to help with solar projects. This project is geared towards EV charging and making us EV infrastructure ready. So this is it doesn't no cost to the city. So we're applying to be a part of the council, and then they will give us resources to help us plan and propose EV infrastructure projects within the city.
Okay, thank you. That's a little bit better. Should be.
Were there any other questions on this topic from my colleagues on 6A? Commissioner Hay, did you have any other questions or comments about this?
No.
With that, would you like to make a motion to approve 6A?
moved.
Second. I was asking him, but okay.
Sorry.
All right, go ahead.
Have the motion, Commissioner Hay.
And who's the second, Commissioner Turkham? Is that you? Did you say second? All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving item 6A, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you. We're going to address now, again, we're going in order in which they were pulled, 6D. Proposed resolution R25-033, approve and award bid number REC 25-013B. This is the Galaxy Park Field Lighting Project with Davco Electrical Contractors Corporation to complete the installation of field lighting at Galaxy Park project for $515,892.88 plus a contingency of 10%, bringing the total project allocation to $565,482.17. Okay, who do we have for this item? Also, Andrew?
Thanks,
Okay.
Andrew.
All right.
Again, you know, $667,000 plus is a lot of money. And this is really going to benefit Galaxy as well as the city. So again, if you would share with us, Andrew, the big benefit we have here and what's really going to happen with that much lighting.
So recently, we just completed some renovations at Galaxy Park to renovate the field, the conditions on the field. So this is a commensurate project that is going to add lighting, sports lighting to the project. We are awarding this project to Davco Electrical. Later on in the agenda, there's an amendment to our substantial amendment to the CBG dollars, which we're using to pay for this project. So we're reallocating dollars from CBG to cover this project for the community.
Is there any additional benefits other than more lighting over there? Will we be able to utilize a different schedule of events there because of the
Absolutely.
additional lighting?
Absolutely. Currently, since we don't have lighting, it's very difficult to program that facility into the evening because of the lights. So now that we're going to have the lights, we'll be able to have games and practices. Also, the Police Athletic League has been using this as their primary location to provide sports and training and outreach to the community. So they'll now also have an opportunity to do that as a night as well. So we're very excited to have this project come online. We definitely could have used the lights sooner, but you know, we're here now and we're going to have it, and I think it's going to be a great benefit to the community.
Will these requesters go through the school or through the city?
No, this is a city park, so if somebody wanted to permit this, they would go through the same permit process that we have for any other park, through the Recreation and Cultural Arts Department.
Very good, Andrew. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else from my colleagues on this item? If not, Commissioner A, would you like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And the second came from Vice Mayor. All those in favor of approving item 6D, say aye. Aye. All right, with that, motion passes unanimously. The next item that was pulled by me. This is 6H. This is proposed resolution number R25-036, adopt the City of Boynton Beach Mobility Fee Technical Report. This is a report with updated mobility plan projects.
Mayor, there's a request from staff if they can move this for the same time as the ordinance that addresses the mobility fees, so it can be comprehensive all in one, as opposed to two different presentations. That would be 8B.
I have no objection to that. I just wish that was mentioned earlier, but that's perfectly okay with me, so we'll have one presentation. That's convenient. Okay? Are there any objections from my colleagues on that?
No.
All right, just want to make sure. Okay, we're gonna just move that and wait for when we get to item 8B, that's fine. The next item that was pulled was proposed resolution R25-037, approve the settlement and release for $200,000 in connection with claim number 0636 004 and 06370097 for worker compensation injuries that occurred on October 23rd, 2022 and September 21st, 2024.
I'll speak to this item.
Okay, yeah, Commissioner, yeah, whoever wants to go first.
No, I was just saying I'll speak to it. This is an individual who was involved in had a kind of a minor claim, but then was hit by a drunk driver while at work. And he is not able to return to work as a police officer. So we are seeking to resolve both claims for a total of $200,000, which will resolve all of the claims, and he has previously already resigned from the city.
All right, Commissioner Hay, did you have a question about this?
No, I was really going to remove my pull of that because I do get it. It's a big benefit to the city.
Okay, all right.
Motion to approve.
All right, and the second came from Commissioner Turkin. All those in favor of the motion, which is to approve item 6I, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, so now we're going to move on to consent bids and purchases over $100,000. In this section, is there anything that my colleagues would like to pull? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the entirety of consent bids and purchases?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Hay and a second from Vice Mayor Kelly. All those in favor of the motion to approve the entirety of consent bids and purchases, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The next portion of the agenda is public hearing, 8A. We're going to address that first, and I just want to remind everybody that when we get to 8B, we will address item 6H, which is the mobility fee technical report. Okay.
We're going to swear in anybody who would like to speak on item 8A. Please stand up and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
You have to do disclosures as well, please.
All right, who would like to begin on either side? Commissioner Turkin, go ahead.
As to this matter, I have had export communications with Bonnie Municipal and staff and residents of the community. Regarding 8A, I have received written communications from members of the community. Regarding 8A, I have not conducted an investigation, and I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, Commissioner Hay.
As of this matter, I have had ex parte communication with Bonnie Misco. I have not received written communication. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have had expert opinion from staff. I request that these disclosures and all written communication be made part of the record.
Thank you, Commissioner. As to this matter, 8A, I have not had any ex parte communications. I have not received written communications from the relevant parties. I have received them from residents. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, and I have not received expert opinions outside of city staff. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have only received written communications from residents or concerned citizens. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, and I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to this matter, I have had ex parte communications. I have received written communications from residents. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have received expert opinions only from our staff members. And I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
All right, thank you. City Clerk, do you want to read the title?
Proposed ordinance number 25-001, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, approving the abandonment of the 20-foot wide alley abutting the approved villages of East Ocean North mixed-use development as recorded in Plat Book 1, page 23 of the Public Records of Palm Beach County, authorizing the city manager to execute a disclaimer which shall be recorded with this ordinance in the public records of the Palm Beach County, Florida, and approving an effective date.
All right, thank you, City Clerk. Let's begin with the applicant. Let me defer to the applicant since this is your request, after which we'll hear from staff if there's any rebuttals.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Mayor, members of the commission. My name is Bonnie Municipal, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Oh, thank you. We have a very brief presentation just to give you some background. So this is related to the Villages project. The end, we're gonna, okay. Okay, there we go. This is a request for an abandonment. Just to give you a little background, my client, I'm here on behalf of the owner. My client acquired the property entitled The original site plan that came through had abandoned the east half of this alley. What is left is a remnant, or the west half, it's a 20 by 50 rectangular piece, which after that site plan was approved, again, it predated my client's ownership, the alley only served access into the parking garage for the development. My client has subsequently acquired the site and also acquired the parcel to the south of what you're seeing on the screen. That parcel, you may remember, they donated for public open space park purposes with the amended site plan that recently was approved. So now, my client is the owner of all the property around the alley, which the former owner was not, hence why they left that little remnant, so that, because they could not get consent from all of the ownership. Then it only served the garage for the project. Now it only serves, it's not changing the site plan at all. The client's not getting any additional units. They're not getting any additional FAR. It's going to continue to be what the alley was doing, which is to provide direct access into the parking garage. So that is the request. This shows you on the big screen how small that area is. And again, the area that is in white to the right of the red rectangle is that park area that the client has dedicated to the public during the amendment process. And so we are able to consent to the full application for the abandonment at this point in time. Again, an aerial showing you that small area. And by the way, it's not a buildable lot. So nothing could happen with it other than its service access, which is what it is. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have and any that the public may ask of us.
All right, thank you. I'd like to hear from staff if there's anything to be added or to respond to.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Commission. I was not sworn in. I stepped out at the wrong time, so.
I'm sorry, were you sworn in? Okay, yeah, thank you. You just said that. I didn't hear.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, so Luis Ben Cosme, Principal Planner. Pleasure to be here. Staff doesn't have much to add than to the presentation that the applicant just gave. It is a very small alley that staff review against the review criteria and found that the alley doesn't really serve a public purpose, and staff recommends approval. So.
All right.
We're here to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, so let's go and entertain questions from the board. Commissioner Cruz,
So
go ahead.
one of the things that the residents kind of asked me about was, is this going to increase the density of the site? Because we're taking this piece of public land, which is, it's pretty small, but is that going to increase the density of the site?
Good evening, Amanda Radigan, Planning and Development Director. I was sworn in. A project cannot affect the abandonment cannot affect the existing project unless it is completely rezoned and absorbed into the master plan. This abandonment is actually completely separate from the approved project and cannot be associated with that project in any way. The only way for them to get anything towards that project would be to, again, bring in the entire project in front of the commission again in order to rezone that piece of parcel and include it into the master plan.
Is that something that's going to happen?
And not to my knowledge, but you have the representative there.
And we're happy to deed restrict the property for purposes of access to and from the project.
Okay, so it's not going to be adding any density to the site?
No, ma'am. This action wouldn't add any density.
Okay. I think that was, we had a pretty lengthy conversation during lunch today, so I think I got most of my questions answered. A lot of the concerns from the residents have been the moving of the Andrews house, and I know it's not directly relevant to this specific alleyway. Some people were saying you guys should charge the developer for, for giving them this small chunk of city land. in exchange to approve the abandonment or as a condition of approval. Per our conversation, it doesn't appear that that's something that we can do. But what I wanted to do is to see if there's any opportunity, and I think there is, if we can be maybe strategic and maybe find a way to get the developer to pay for the moving of the Andrews house. So I've had conversations with you, I've had conversations with you as well as some members of the public, and what I was gearing towards is the possibility of expanding the art assessment fee to allow for us to move public structures or historical public structures to be utilized towards a credit to the art fee. I know sometimes that 1% can be pretty significant, and sometimes it's so much money that people run out of things to put in there. So, you know, with that being said, that's kind of what I was thinking towards, and I know we had this conversation, and part of the conversation was, okay, like we have had discussions about the art fee, and we might have this back on the agenda in March. At the same time, we do have a priority right now, and like, as we have competing priorities with residents coming up here, I think it's worth to take a look to see if that's something that the board would be in favor of, to potentially include that. But I first wanted to get maybe some consensus to see if they would be willing to kind of open that avenue.
And I want to clarify a point for the public, because they seem to misunderstand the law. Right now, my client does have an active demolition permit. He was asked by actually the district commissioner and some of the neighbors in the community to refrain from exercising on the right that he was issued. He obtained it legally. That building is not designated, and I certainly appreciate their position. They want it to be, but it is not. So, in an effort to be collaborative with both the commission and staff and the neighbors, he offered to refrain from exercising a right that he was given legally. He's not a bad person. As a matter of fact, he's quite the opposite. He's trying to work with everybody to accomplish the global good, and he'll continue to do that. So in response to what Commissioner Cruz said, my client is open to any opportunity in order to make everybody happy. I think everybody needs to be a little patient here. We haven't even come in with a site plan for that site. Amanda and I did speak earlier today, and my client has been communicating with them to figure out how we can achieve what everybody wants to achieve here. So I think your suggestion is a great suggestion. I think the minds in this room, we can figure this out, and I have a willing client who is willing to participate to the extent that he can. But he has no legal obligation to keep the property there. He is choosing for that at the moment. He also has no legal obligation to pay for this building to go anywhere else for the benefit of the global good. But again, we have a lot of smart people in this room. You have a great staff that you work with. I'm happy to work with them, and I know my client is committed to do so as well.
One of the things I'd like to add to the conversation, a few months ago, we gave a presentation to the board about the art fee, and we discussed about the opportunity to expand the art fee and its uses. Some of the things we talked about was general beautification of civic spaces, public amenities, things like that, where we can broaden the use of the funds that we are collecting. I think this is a good opportunity how these two efforts could be joined together. I think in the recent questions that I've been getting from the developer, he is now interested in keeping the house and moving it to the corner of Ocean on his property and putting it to a public use. Under the direction that we were given, something like that, some sort of public amenity could be used in the new revision of the public art program. Staff is working on that update. My plan, like I shared with Commissioner Cruz, is to get that before this commission in March. These are all possible options, but like Ms. Miskell said, they're not in for a site plan yet. We would do this code amendment to allow it to happen. In any case, what you had suggested would require a code amendment, because right now those funds cannot be used for that.
Right. Thank you. So that, I think that's the question I'm asking. Are we, as a board, open to the idea of expanding? And I know we've had this conversation about the RFP before, and we did agree to expand it somewhat. But I'm asking specifically, are we willing to expand and change the code to, obviously within reason, to allow for the use of the RFP to be utilized to move the Andrews House? Because that's kind of what we're talking about today.
So just to clarify, I can't write into code that it could be used for a specific thing.
Right.
And in this case, since it's not designated, I can't tie it to historic designation.
Understood.
Which is why I'm trying to pivot this, is if he's willing to give a public access easement over that land where he's going to put the house, to kind of marry these two efforts together. Because it's not historically designated, it is fully within the owner's right to designate or not to designate. So I don't want to predicate these funds on a designation or between different projects. I'm trying to kind of consolidate the efforts as I'm understanding them.
All right, thank you. Let me turn to Commissioner Turkin.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I'm glad to hear about the expansion of the art fee. Yeah, it was something I brought up in December and staff was going to bring back. You know, whether that's going to be historic preservation, you know, or expanding the use, I support that. You know, I think that was one of the things that we discussed early on. So I'm glad to hear that staff's working on that, because that hasn't been on the agenda, and, you know, I know you guys are swamped, but I think, let me start with what's on the agenda, because these are two different things, and then I'm going to jump in to, you know, the other topic. All right, so this site plan was approved in 2017?
The original one you're talking about.
Right.
And we're talking about on the north side,
And
yes.
then your client purchased this property with the approved site plan?
That's correct.
And so in that time, this roadway abandonment was not an issue? This isn't something that your client was looking for, or was this something that staff proposed? Because
I can clarify that.
Okay.
So in the original approval in 2017, the current, at that time, owner did not own that corner piece that had that fourplex. So when he came in for a request for abandonment, which was accompanied by the 2017 site plan, there was an abandonment. You could see where that road exists. IT, if you could bring up Exhibit A on the item. The kind of continuance from where that road exists now to the end of the tracks was a right-of-way that was abandoned. We didn't, thank you, yeah, that works also. You can see where the red area is. The kind of rest of that linear area going towards the tracks was a right-of-way, was an alley that was abandoned with the original site plan. We chose not to abandon this collectively, as it wasn't under the same ownership, and we didn't want to infringe on their rights. Even though they do have access from two other roads, we didn't touch it. Now that it is under the same ownership, during his platting process, it is only being used to access his property. It will clean up the plat, and you know, it's the right thing to do with the land if there's no public use for it, to get it off of our maintenance records, to get it on the tax roll. Now, do we need this abandonment for him to use it exactly the way it's being proposed? No. It can be achieved through other means. It could be done through a maintenance agreement where we move the maintenance to the owner and we're done, and I'm sure they would be amenable to something like that, so we don't have to maintain it. The only difference would be we wouldn't get tax roll. It's only 1,000 square feet of area. It's minimal, but there are other options if this abandonment isn't recommended by the commission.
Thank you. So for clarification, this was something that the city had initiated and approached the property owner, not the other way around?
So this is a private application. The city didn't initiate it. However,
Okay.
it did come out of a conversation of cleaning up the proposed plat.
Okay, okay, thank you. All right, so this site plan's approved, 1,000 square feet. There's no legal mechanism, you know, for us to ask for something in return?
No, when these requests come in, they are reviewed against criteria, which is codified. The staff report in front of you outlines the criteria and our findings, and the decision should be based on those findings.
And is there any potential liability for trying to, you know, request something?
I would defer that to our city attorney. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'll, so in your capacity as we sit right now, you are sitting as, not as a commissioner, right? So you're sitting in a quasi judicial capacity. And the sole focus for this is really very strict in that you have to look at it from, you know, does it meet our LDRs? Now, I appreciate that there's another, issue out there, but you have to be careful not to commit an exaction. And there is a statute that prohibits that, that's 7.45. And essentially what that is, if a developer is building their building and there's going to be extra impacts to roadways and things of that nature, you can ask them, because of those impacts, to expand things. However, you can't ask them to develop a park or contribute to a park down the street and various things. And even though this house sits on this property, we cannot ask them in exchange for this.
I want to clarify, this house doesn't sit on this property.
Well-
It sits on a different property owned by a different entity.
Oh, I apologize then. Okay, my mistake. But because it's the same developer, correct?
Well, that's not the case either, and I wanted to clarify that for the
Okay.
record. The owner of this parcel, the subject parcel, while Mr. Mato is one of the partners in the deal, there are other partners and investors, whereas on the south side, it's a different owner. He has an interest in it, but he also has different partners. So they're two separate and two different owners. So you'd be asking for one ownership group to do something for the benefit of another.
Correct.
Which is also problematic.
Which you can't do. But even if it was the same owner, right, we could not ask them to contribute anything towards the resurrection of this house, for lack of a better term, in exchange for this abandonment. That is strictly prohibited under the Florida statutes, and it is not something we can do. Now, we can do other conversations with them aside, but it cannot be a condition of granting this abandonment.
Council, thank you for that. Commissioner Chicken?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. All right, so Commissioner Cruz brought up something about the density, and you said you're willing to do a deed restriction, and we can get a, some type of legal mechanism to make sure that, there's not gonna be an increase
That it
in
will be
density.
used for
That would make me
access,
more
period.
comfortable.
That's right.
The second thing, later on, I think the city needs to look into the appraised values of these properties and have a process to where we look at this and, try to collect, some form of revenue. Now the Andrews House. So thank you to your client for preserving the Andrews House. These are two separate parcels. I love the conversation that, you and your client are having with staff, but what I'd like to see is a third body in that conversation, that being the Save Andrews Board, right? And so we plan on having a public charrette soon. And Bonnie, if you'd like, I'd really love for you to be there so that way, everybody's at the table and the communication is not staff to the commission, to Save Andrews, to you. Everyone's at the table. We're all having dialogue, right? For me, I'm not a subject matter expert with historic preservation or art, right? I'm gonna lean on my kitchen cabinet of people that I trust, within the community on what the right thing to do is. And so, if I can just get you on the record saying you'll attend, given your schedule.
And I'm sure my client would join me as well.
Okay.
Do we have an estimate as to when that is? Because we'd also like to see if we can come with options.
It's a Saturday morning.
It's a Saturday, not next Saturday?
Not next Saturday.
Okay, good.
No.
That's all I care
Okay.
about. Thank you.
And then, the other thing, with, back to the impact fee, I want to support that, and, I want to get multiple options on what that looks like. And as this conversation develops, someone brought it up during public comment, if we can have a point of contact from the city, maybe it's Andrew, right? Maybe it's Andrew, maybe it's Bonnie, maybe it's Mike Fitzpatrick, having those weekly check-ins, right? Like, I think that's crucial, you know what I mean? I want there to be open dialogue, between everybody. So that way, it's not just one opinion driving the show. It's not, there's got to be an unbiased, right? There's got to be a lot of, collaboration, communication with this. So that's where I'm at, and that's what I'd like to see. If I can just get on the record, that we can get that done, city manager, or, and obviously, I think Tom Warnke's the vice chair, Mike Fitzpatrick is the chair of the St. Andrews, board. So, I think they would appreciate it too, to be in the know, versus, playing broken telephone.
I have no problem with that. If someone could just let me know who's coordinating it for staff. Thank you, Adam.
I think that's all the questions I got, thanks.
All right, anything else from my colleagues on this matter? If there's nothing else, we'll turn to public comment on this item, and after which you guys may have to come back up if there's anything to be added after public comment. I believe this is requires it. This item requires it.
You opened it up, so here we are.
All right, you ready?
Oh, of course,
All
aren't
right,
you?
go ahead.
Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. So there's still, whatever the legality is, I don't believe it. If this happens in every other city, then I don't see why it's not going on here and solving all of our problems. But we're still getting back to this easement, and it has a value. And it's taxpayer-owned property, correct? It's owned by the city, so it belongs to us, the people, to quote Cindy, and it has a value. So why are we handing this easement over when we know we need the money? No matter how you say if it's a condition of approval, or here, this is a separate entity, and here you go. We'll be happy to give you the easement, but you need to pay for it. Either way, take the money and use it towards moving the Andrews house. This is just not a hard thing. And if he truly just cares enough that he's just willing to hold off on demoing it, then hand over the title. Let's be done with it. This solves your problem because it's going to cost you X amount of dollars, that's approaching at least $100,000, to demo that building and move all the debris somewhere and put it in a landfill. That costs, I've been hearing from asking people, you're approaching $100,000. So you're already going to spend that money. So just hand it over and help fund this and get the goodwill, because you now have the whole city riled up. And it's been all over TV, because when I sat there at Kinetic all weekend handing out Save the Andrews House brochures, let me tell you, every single person said, oh my gosh, I've been watching this on TV. This does not make our city look good. We have enough bad press. Let's cut the crap and let's solve the problem. And whether we say it's a condition of approval or you pay us for the land we're handing you, at the end of the day, this is city-owned property. This is resident-owned property. This does not belong to you. It belongs to us, the people. And you're trying to hand it over without getting a cent. And I'm sure he does have the best of intentions. But at the end of the day, we need that money to move this house. He doesn't care. He's already going to pay $100,000 to get rid of it. Take that $100,000 plus whatever the value of that land is, and use it to do the right thing and make our city look good and stop looking bad on the press every single week. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Mike Fitzpatrick, 175 Southwest 2nd Street. As an Eagle Scout, I am embarrassed to say I'm not prepared. That's because this is a new thing where people are able to speak at first reading. I think it's a great trend, and I appreciate, I think this is good for the citizens because you can learn about problem areas before the second reading. So this, I hope this continues in the future. And listening to staff and the lawyer, and nobody wants you to do the wrong thing or something that would get the city in trouble. So as Bonnie pointed out, there's a lot of smart people in the room, and we appreciate the amount of caring that the commission's been showing. So I'm semi-optimistic it'll work out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Yes, Mark here, George, Boynton Beach. You've heard from your best staff, or one of the best planners in the county, and you've also heard from the applicant. This is a no-brainer. The abandonment you should approve. Everything from a legal standpoint tells you to do the right thing, and that's abandon this. There's a separate issue that you can come to a nice conclusion on. The developer budgeted demolition cost. Have him apply the cost of what he budgeted for the demolition cost as a payment to move the home. Cut that deal separately. They're two separate issues, okay? It's a no-brainer. He's not going to demo the thing. He planned on doing that, okay? So take those funds and apply it for the move. It's not a complicated thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Barbara Reedy again. Well, we just learned something new tonight, that the two parcels are not owned by the same development company. That's a surprise. And I completely understand, truthfully, Bonnie's position that why would you need the southern parcel people to pay for something that's happening in the northern parcel. I understand that. I also, if I understood what Bonnie said correctly, we're going to get another bite at the apple because he's going to have to come back before you for a major site plan modification for the southern parcel. At which point, the house will be affected by the southern parcel people, if I understood what she said correctly. So it makes sense not to try to force the Manny, I'm not sure what his last name is, to pay for something that the southern parcel is affected by something that the northern parcel is doing. So it's helpful. This is a communication thing, as Commissioner Turkin has pointed out, that communication could be improved on this. If we'd known that there was two different LLCs doing this, you know, we might have a different position at this point, because as far as I'm concerned, it's understandable. Okay? So, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet, and we're not giving up, and we're grateful for everyone's attitude of the not giving it up attitude, especially the developer. So if anyone speaks to him, please give him our thanks and reassure him that we're not going away. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, last call for public comment on this item. Seeing no one else in the chambers and I see no one else online, public comment on this item is now closed. I'm going to turn back to the applicant and to staff. I know, Council, you wanted to say a few words?
Yes, with regard to one of the comments, currently your LDRs do not provide for appraisal and assessing the value of an abandonment. And actually, that is something that if there was a consensus of the commission, we could look into whether we wanted to potentially adopt an ordinance that does something like that. But it certainly wouldn't, affect this for here and now. So it wasn't something that wasn't discussed. It was just something that our Code of Ordinances currently don't allow.
Thank you. Ms. Miskell.
Just as a suggestion, there's another section of State Law 255.22, which I'm sure your city attorney is aware of, and that is a surplusing provision. It's not your traditional surplusing provision, but it allows you to surplus streets, alleys, and rights-of-way. And in that instance, it is anticipated and expected that appraisals would be done. So I think you have a few tools in your toolbox that you can use if that works for you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Madigan, did you have any additions or updates? Or?
For the sake of clarification, I did want to mention one of the comments that the site plan for the south would have to come forward for a major site plan approval. I just want to say on the record that should the applicant be doing a Live Local project, the site plan would not come to commission because of the preemptions within state law. However, what looks like is going to happen at my first look as this very conceptual plan is that there would be other applications that are required to come to the commission in which for lack of better words, a negotiation about the Andrews House could happen. And we could do those ahead of the administrative site plan.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant or staff on this item from the board? Commissioner Cruz, go ahead.
For the sake of the future, I did want to get an update to see where we are with the study that I requested last time to see if it would make sense to move the Andrews House to the same site as the Magnuson House or not. Still not sure. I know we were going to look into it and staff asked if we could spend the money to look into that. I'm not sure if we've done anything to move in that direction.
We're still waiting for direction from, I think, the CRA director or is going to meet with Manny to get us more time before we start that effort. So we're ready to do that as soon as we get the go-ahead.
But we have to get approval from CRA.
Not approval from CRA, there was some discussion about meeting with them to give us time to move forward. Because there was, at the time we had the meeting, there was not an exact amount of time that he was going to wait. I think there's some more information that's available now that we're willing to wait longer period of time, but he was not going to sign it. I think the exact words were that he wanted some type of written agreement, but I think they came back that there wouldn't be no written agreement that they were willing to sign.
Okay.
Correct, and just to add, Commissioner Cruz, one of the items that was discussed at, I think was our joint meeting, was to get with the landowner and see if he would withdraw his demolition permit. We have had those discussions with the owner. He's currently unwilling to withdraw his demolition permit for some reasons. However, he already has submitted a written request to our building official to extend the demolition permit so that it does not expire and it stays active and valid. And so that will buy him, that will buy us another 6 months from April. So we're looking at, give or take another 9 or 10 months that demolition permit will remain active. And then what we've also done since then is one of the other requests was to develop a community survey. And
Yes.
that is being finalized. I think it's probably being released in the next day, if not today.
And
Yeah, the
staff
questions
did reach
were-
out about that, so I thank you guys for
Yes, the
putting that
questions
together.
were finalized. We got some input from our Historic Preservation Board Chair, and those were sent to Public Affairs actually today, so it should go live within the next day or so.
Awesome, thank you. Yep, I'm just waiting to hear if it's a possibility or not to move it to the same site, and then I guess we'll move forward with the other parts of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final items, any final questions for this item, I should say? If there's nothing else, now is the time to vote. This is a first reading, so nothing is final until the second. May I have a motion to approve item 8A? We have a motion from Commissioner Hay and a second from Vice Mayor Kelly. All right, let me turn to the city clerk for roll call voting.
Commissioner Hay?
Yes.
Commissioner Turkin? Yes. Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pensurga?
Yes.
In a roll call vote, the motion passed unanimously.
All right, thank you. With that, we will move on to the next item under public hearing, which is item 8B, proposed ordinance number 25-002. And I do want to remind everybody that, we did say earlier in the meeting that we were going to move item 6H to this, which is the proposed resolution number R25-036, adopt the City of Boynton Beach Mobility Fee Technical Report with updated mobility plan projects, so staff can give a combined presentation. Amanda, you want to kick it off? I'm sorry. Oh, hold on, sorry. Let's do the procedure first for the ordinance, and then we'll hear the presentation. City Clerk, if you'd like to begin.
Got to read this into the record. Proposed ordinance number 25-002, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Code of Ordinances, Part 3, Land Development Regulations, Chapter 1, General Administration, Article 2, Definitions, and Chapter 2, Land Development Process, Article 6, Impact and Selected Fees, Section 7, Palm Beach County Fees, and establishing Section 10, Mobility Fees, providing for an update of definitions, providing for a repeal of collection of county road impact fees within the mobility fee assessment area, providing for collection of mobility fees within the mobility fee assessment area, providing for authority, setting forth general provisions for mobility fees, definitions, purpose, the mobility fee technical report, and rules of construction, providing for imposition and a mobility fee schedule, providing for establishment of a mobility fee assessment area, providing for the process for a review of alternative and special fee determinations, credits, establishment of a mobility fee benefit district, fund accounts, expenditures, refunds, effects on land development regulations, development of an administrative procedure and a service charge, and service charges, requirements for annual reporting, review and updates, agreements, interlocal agreements, vested rights and penalties for the violation, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for Scrivener's error, providing for liberal interpretation, providing for modifications, providing for conflicts, severability, and effective date.
You.
Good evening. That was long, but not as long as we have been working on this. So this is an item that we're very excited to bring before you. This journey originally started in 2019 with the adoption of the city's original mobility plan. Since then, we brought an item to this commission in October of 2023 to discuss the update of that plan and the establishment of a mobility fee. So we have been working on this for quite some time. It has taken quite a while since October 2023 because the state has pivoted some of their language since we started working on it. So we were working on one version, which was more of a cost sharing with us and the county, to a replacement of the road impact fee with this mobility fee inside of the assessment area. So I'm very excited for you to hear this item tonight. We do have a consultant, Jonathan Paul, that will be giving the presentation. Item 8B is the ordinances that establishes the fee, and item 6H that was pulled from consent is the technical report that justifies the fee that we are establishing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jonathan Paul, and I will be available for questions after the presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jonathan Paul, Principal of New Urban Concepts, and thank you, Amanda, for that introduction, and for city staff for working with us. It has been a long process, back when this originally started in 2019, and actually going back even further, we'd met with your staff preliminarily back as far as 2016. So this has been on discussion for almost 10 years now, and this is a culmination of a lot of work and a lot of effort. It is, or can be, a pretty complicated subject, so please feel free to ask any questions if you have any along the way. I will try to keep it as plain speak as possible in terms of the actual plan itself and the fee. So the mobility plan update and the mobility fee is really a vision over the next 20 years for how you're going to move people in and around the city of Boynton Beach. A number of these projects have been identified in the previous plan, and we've essentially updated several of those to reflect a few more improvements actually on city streets as opposed to primarily on the county road system, which is what the original plan had focused. And so the mobility fee itself is a payment made by new development and redevelopment to the city to fund transportation improvements. It's not a tax on existing residents. It's not a tax on existing businesses. It's a one-time assessment paid by new development to help fund transportation. So the technical report, and I believe you actually had a member of the audience reference it earlier, because of the new statutory requirements and the potential for this to replace the county's fee. The technical report is quite long. It's 250 pages in length. It's actually the longest one I've done to date. To help simplify that for members of the public and for the commission, we have prepared an executive summary, which really gets into the maps, the projects, the fees itself. It's about a 12-page document designed to be simple and easy to read. And then if you actually wanted to get more into the detail, you could. So since this is a first reading, just for any members of the public that may be watching this evening, there is a simplified version of this that helps explain what is it we're proposing to do, what types of improvements are being proposed, and what the actual mobility fee it is itself. And you don't need a degree to go read it. It's something that has been designed to help simplify the process. Amanda had mentioned that there was a bill that was actually adopted this past legislative session, and it was actually voted and adopted by the governor in July. And essentially it clarified what we've contended has been the case since 2016. I have also worked with the city of Palm Beach Gardens, the town of Lake Park. I'm currently working with West Palm and Village of Palm Springs right now as well under this. The way statute read, it was always the option of the local government to find an alternative to transportation concurrency and to find a way for developments to mitigate their impact through a means other than just widening roadways. The legislature essentially concurred with that and basically clarified in statute any municipality, any local government, regardless of whether or not they're in a charter county, which is what Palm Beach County is, whether you have a charter ordinance, whatever provision you have, you as a municipality, you as an elected body, have the right to say, we no longer want to implement transportation concurrency within our city. So that was one big step. The second big step the legislature made is that only one fee can be assessed within the city, and that fee has to be collected by the entity that issues the building permits. So the city of Boynton Beach is the entity that issues building permits to development as they come in. There is and this is largely to address the issue of developers paying twice for the same impact, which is something that would happen if you had a city fee and a county fee on top of that. They would basically be paying double. The legislature said you can't do that. The case law said you can't do that. So this really helped to clarify in pretty stark language, it's one fee. That fee must be based on the mobility plan projects, and there will be a follow-on initiative with this to negotiate an updated interlocal with the county to determine what type of improvements, say, you want to see on a Southeast 23rd or a Woolbright or a Seacrest, other than widening those roadways. And the mobility plan does include some projects on those corridors, so there would be an opportunity to negotiate a share of the funding or setting aside the share of the funding if and when the county wanted to advance one of those projects or the city wanted to advance one of those projects. But it really places the city itself on much firmer footing. While it was permitted before, it's very express this time when the legislature adopted it, why they adopted it, and what the intent was. So why is the city doing this? It's really, the city's experienced a significant amount of development over the last 20 years. You also have a number of projects that are in your pipeline, either being reviewed for development, recently approved, or coming online in the near future. That's going to create a real transportation need. Historically, what has happened, and we've provided analysis in our reports, development in the city has paid the money to Palm Beach County for road impact fees. And the county has largely spent the majority of that money outside of the city on roadway capacity in the western part of the county. I mean, that's not me saying that just to say it. It's all the documentation, and documentation's all from the county's website itself. And our analysis basically showed, a very small portion of that money was spent within the city. One thing that we decided early on, because we are looking at both the potential for redevelopment and also the types of improvements that are needed, is the fee does not cover the entirety of the city. It covers all the lands east of the interstate and a vast majority of the city west of the interstate, but really with an emphasis on the areas that could potentially be redeveloped. And part of that is crucial because this fee is not assessed on existing homes. So the portion to the west is largely suburban in nature. It's largely built out. It's mostly residential. So there isn't going to be a lot of infill or redevelopment like you're seeing downtown, like you potentially could see at the mall in the future or some of the industrial areas. So we focused initially, because it was going to be a back and forth between the county and city, and then two, because of the nexus between it, to look at the vast majority of the city, but it isn't the entirety of the city. Once we go through this process, maybe in a few years, you'll want to look at the rest of the city, but I think this captures the vast majority of where you're likely to see development over the next 5 years. How are they different? Largely, the county's roadway impact fee adds road capacity. It widens roadways, it adds turn lanes. It does everything that's not going on in the part of the city where you have the greatest transportation needs. Your needs east of the interstate in downtown by the mall, they aren't necessarily to widen roadways. They're for better crosswalks, better lighting, better sidewalks, more streetscape, and more access to transit. All those things are something that the mobility fee can actually fund, unlike the road impact fee. And so part of our analysis, we looked at what the county has collected from development within Boynton Beach over the last 20 years. And they've collected roughly $32 million in road impact fees from development in the city. And they have spent $2 million of that in the city. And that $2 million, I think, was out, I'm not even sure if you'd call Hippolyxo or Lions or a portion of military on the very edge of the city in terms of what most people think of as the city of Boynton Beach. So, but technically it was like right at city limits. But the vast majority of that money has been spent elsewhere, not in the city itself. And all this data is from Palm Beach County's website. It isn't from the city, isn't anything that we made up. This is all publicly available on their annual reports. We just happened to go in and dig down into it. Your staff had done a similar analysis a few years back, and we verified it and went even a little bit further. So the projects themselves are focused on moving people, whether they choose to walk, to bicycle, to ride transit, or to drive their vehicle. It's not anti-car, it's just looking at all modes of transportation. And so we actually have the plan itself. There's 4 different components. There's a streets plan, a multimodal plan, a transit plan, and then various programs. So the streets plan is primarily focused on either what you're seeing on Boynton Beach Boulevard right now, which is widening the sidewalks, adding in landscaping, adding in streetscape amenities, and improving some of the core roads in downtown, improving portions of US 1, MLK, and also Woolbright. We do have a proposal for Ocean Avenue and maybe a couple of other ones to be what's known as a curbless shared street. And if you've had the opportunity to go to downtown West Palm and see Rosemary or Clematis, those are curbless shared streets. They're really designed to be much more conducive to people walking, to transit, to be shut off during certain times of the day for special events. And it really helps to revitalize and incentivize redevelopment in the area. There are a couple of capacity projects. There's adding of a center turn lane on Minor past the interstate, and also a widening of a portion of High Ridge between Gateway and Minor itself. Those have been on the plan for a while. But the vast majority of the streets are enhancing the streetscape or the curbless shared streets. We've also identified a multimodal corridors plan. And in the original plan itself, there was a lot of focus on improvements along Congress, improvements along Woolbright, along Seacrest, along US 1, along Boynton Beach. And I would say in terms of getting people to and from schools, parks, residents, especially if you think of the elderly or children, maybe encouraging a kid to ride a bicycle on Congress isn't the best approach, or riding along Seacrest where there's no bike lanes and there's very little right-of-way. Maybe that's not the best approach to encourage mobility. So we actually focus more on the city streets themselves and what are the opportunities. And we really look to, going all the way from the north, all the way down to the south of the city, east-west, with an emphasis on connecting residents to parks, to schools, and to destinations within the community. And so we kind of identified a couple of tier of corridors, one each along either side of the interstate is a primary or principal multimodal corridor. And this would be adding a wider sidewalks, filling in sidewalk gaps, adding bicycle lanes along these routes to help you to provide sort of a continuous route throughout the city. And then there's sorts of various spurs that go off of that to connect to a park or to connect to a school. But it sort of helps give some priority that if you're looking at roadway improvements and sidewalk and multimodal, where would you focus them first? And where's the greatest opportunity to encourage people to walk or bicycle? And so that's really the emphasis. This is probably the biggest change from the last plan, as the last plan really focused on your major arterials in terms of multimodal improvements. And this one's really focused on the city streets, where you as a city have the best opportunity to work with your residents to figure out what's the best type of improvement to make on your roadways. And we also looked at a transit circulation plan. If and when future rail service does come to downtown, you already do have rail service today in the city via Tri-Rail. So how do we connect downtown, the mall, Woolbright, the beach to the existing rail service today? And then how do we also connect folks to downtown, and with the opportunity potentially of creating what's known as a park once environment? So people may drive downtown, but once you get here, is there a way to have them park in one place and then to walk, to bicycle, to scoot, to use a transit to get over to the beach or to get around by some other means in driving? So we worked with your staff to look at several of the corridors and destinations where transit circulators could be focused in the future. You're already sort of having a pilot project done right now in your CRA area and out to the beach to fund circuit, to provide on-demand transit service, and that's something that we've incorporated into this. So really the idea of the transit circulator is really, this is sort of the initial stage to look to how do you get people from downtown to Tri-Rail, and then eventually how do you get them to other major destinations. And if and when you actually ever got rail service into the downtown area, we have worked at a number of communities along the intercoastal, and they've looked at opportunities potentially for water taxi routes or water taxi service to get people over from the coastline into the city without necessarily driving on the roadways. And so we sort of looked at some opportunities. This is a 20-year vision, so that probably isn't going to happen tomorrow, but easily within 10 years or 15 years, that is something that could be looked at. And this is just an example of one we just finished, and it was adopted December of this past year. It's City of North Miami, north of downtown Miami. They do have plans to have some rail stations, and we actually looked at water taxi routes from Ball Harbor and from Sunny Isles to going to the potential future rail station. And this is just one concept of what a park once environment could be, where you pull in different modes of transportation, whether it be bike share, scooters, electric vehicle charging. But really the idea is that you bring in several modes of transportation into a centralized location so that you then give people a choice to say, if I'm here, how else do I get around? We did also look at an analysis of downtowns. There have been a lot of projects that have already been approved or in the pipeline. So we looked at what level of parking those developments have provided, and it's sort of detailed in the report. They are providing parking up to your standards as you require. We did find that some of the parking spaces were either for compact vehicles or handicap spaces, or what's known as tandem parking, where you sort of park behind each other. So if you wanted to explore further the opportunity of a park once environment, there could be demand upwards for a 500 space parking garage within the downtown core to help not only support development and support potential removal of some on-street parking while you're redoing these streets to either curbless streets or to streetscape enhancements, and really just that opportunity to bring in transit, to bring in the other modes into a central location, have people park once and then move elsewhere. And then what we've also seen with a lot of the recent storm events in other coastal communities, you all aren't maybe not dealing with it as much as some of the other places where there is quite a bit of flooding, but municipalities are even offering to have their residents park their vehicles in these structures when there are flooding events, when there are storm events. So it's sort of starting to become also part of an overall resilience strategy as well. And you need a lot less impervious surface by going up with a parking structure versus going out with a bunch of surface parking lots. And that's sort of keeping with the vision that your development pattern has for your downtown area. So that's something that probably would be explored further, but we know we did demonstrate there is a demand for it, and it would sort of play into this whole concept of the downtown park once environment. In the areas that you see right now, the yellow line is the current beach service from downtown out to the beach, and then the area in pink is where the on-demand transit circulator is operating today. So with all that, all those projects lead to what's known as the mobility fee that development pays to mitigate their impact. There are a number of steps that we go in the process. They are detailed in this report. There's 18 overriding steps, and if you want me to go to any one particular, I'll be happy to do so. But we do document all the methodology, all the data that goes into the overall plan. It is quite lengthy in terms of a report, but part of it needs to be for legal reasons. And these are just some of the calculations that we have in there. I'm not gonna go into these, but there's a number of these, and each one of these is detailed in the report itself. And that basically results in a mobility fee schedule. Again, this is just for reference only. I'm gonna give several examples of what this actually means in reality. So in reality, for a single family home that's roughly 2,100 square feet in the city, they would pay $5,900 in a mobility fee. And we have a comparison with the county as well to give some context to that. For a multifamily development of 50,000 square feet, which is roughly a 50-unit complex, their mobility fee would be $165,000. For office uses, for a 5,000 square foot office, it'd be roughly $30,000. And then for a high impact retail use, which would be like a fast food restaurant or a bank, could potentially be upwards to $60,000. Again, this seems like a lot just in and of itself, but when you compare it to the county, it's comparable to what the county charges today. For a retail use, one thing that the county does not have, but something that we have experienced in a number of communities, fast food uses, banks, certain types of uses are downsizing their footprint and they're adding more drive-through lanes. Two drive-through lanes through a Chick-fil-A, a new drive-through lane for a Target, reducing the size of a bank and adding another drive-through lane. So we've also captured what we call an additive fee. So those things that generate a lot of traffic, they pay for those plus the building. So if you had a fast food restaurant that comes in, they pay for both the building and the two drive-through lanes. One of the concepts that's coming in several of the communities that I work in is they have a building, but it's not accessible to the public. It's only for placing orders online, and they have 3 drive-throughs. Well, that really the traditional schedule doesn't capture that. This schedule does because it looks at the impact of each one of those drive-through lanes. So anytime you're doing a comparison, these aren't apple to apples between Palm Beach County and this report. This report's based on data as of today in 2025. The county study is based on data as of 2021 or earlier. So it is a few years older than this study. The county has a very different methodology in terms of determining their fee. The county also only looked at state roads and county roads, not city roads. But the county is actually going through a process to look at a county-wide plan that it looks to identify improvements. I'm not quite sure where they are in that process, but it is something they're looking at as well. So with that said, these aren't exact comparisons, but for a single-family home of roughly 2,100 square feet, the mobility fee is $5,962. The existing county impact fee is $5,597. So, it's pretty comparable between the two of them. The multifamily, based on the square footage, the county's is just a flat rate per unit. It'd be $165 in the city, $170 in the county. Industrial use is a little bit higher, $73,000 versus $54,000. For an office use, it's about $5,000 more. In this example, for retail use, if you had a 4,750 square foot retail use, the mobility fee is 3,700 or 37,000. The county mobility fee is 32,000. So, those are just several of the comparisons. Some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower, because it's the city's fee is based on the city's impact and the city's plan. Really has no relationship whatsoever to the county in terms of their fees. Some of them will be a little bit higher, some will be a little bit lower. In 2 years from now, when the county does its study, its fees are likely going to be higher than the city's at that point. So one thing I will say is you as a elected body, you couldn't increase the rates higher than what the technical report says. You could always elect to lower them some if you wanted to either be in line with the counties. That's really a matter of a policy decision. I will say, as part of the negotiations with the county, some share of that fund is going to have to be set aside for county road projects, not widening projects, but on your Seacrest, on your Woolbright, on some of the county roads you have in the city, there are plans for some improvements along those corridors. And so you'd want to have the opportunity to set aside some of those funds. If you did lower them, that would potentially reduce some of that funding that you have and some of that negotiation. So with that said, I'm here to answer any questions that you all have. This is the first reading tonight. You can provide myself, Amanda, with any direction on to amend the plan or to make any changes. Come back for a second hearing, which I think is scheduled tentatively for the 18th. And I believe in terms of calculating the fee, they are looking at an effective date, I believe, of May 25th of this year. So essentially, once you adopt this fee by Florida statute says there has to be a 90-day period from when you adopt a fee until when it can go into effect. So that would be May of this year. You will need to start some discussions with the county in terms of the interlocal agreement with them. And then right now, the city, I believe, is going through a process of updating its comprehensive plan or requesting consultants first update of its comprehensive plan. So you need to look at changing some of the language or updating some of the language as part of that, just to be sure that you're consistent with Florida statute. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Jonathan, thank you for that presentation. Very thorough. Report was also very thorough, so it is much appreciated. I think you said a lot of important things here, but one of the most powerful things I heard tonight, I don't recall which slide number it's on, but you showed that in the course of the past 20 years, what number was it? 30-something million?
32 million collected.
Out of the city.
Yes.
Spent towards the rest of the county, and how much of that actually came back to the city?
$2 million.
$2 million. And from my recollection, and I could be wrong, when compared to other cities, we actually had the greatest disparity in collected amount and what was actually returned back to the city.
Well,
is that correct?
Yes, it is. By far, West Palm's somewhat comparable, but even them, they got more improvements out of the county. But yes, by far, Boynton Beach has paid the most into the county and gotten the least back.
And that's right. And so that is why I support moving forward with the plan and the fee. Because although there are some kinks that need to be worked out, some of the fine details, and we will work that out in time, the primary principle here is that we need to keep that money back into the city to make sure it's invested back into our own transportation needs, whatever they may be. But this is, robbing the city, if you will, and spending it elsewhere, significantly far away through some convoluted rationale, and we have been neglected in the process, which is a travesty. We should not have been neglected in the first place. So bringing that money back, who could be against it? So thank you for doing your work. We're making the right steps forward, and thank you to staff and Amanda and everyone else involved in it. But again, we'll continue to work out the fine details, but in principle, we're on the right track, in my opinion. Any questions from my colleagues? Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. I just had one. You briefly touched on it at the very end. We do have several county roads and FDOT roads that you know. Boynton Beach Boulevard is an FDOT road, and as much as I, have loathed the construction, it's not our circus, not our monkey. But how, moving forward with this, you briefly mentioned we would have to set money aside or funds aside for when the county is going to work on the roads within our city, that then we have money set aside to do our project. So this doesn't give us any additional ability to make improvements on the county roads necessarily. We still have to wait for them to decide to work on them?
As part of the negotiations, you certainly could offer to the county that you would like to advance projects on the county road system. And if you have their certifications, either through LAP certification, which allows you to do improvements on state roads, I believe it also allows you to do improvements on county roads. Because it is their road, you'd have to have their permission to do it.
Right.
Nothing precludes you from doing that. So if you wanted to do an improvement on Seacrest and the county was okay with it, you could certainly use these funds to make an improvement on that roadway. That would be part of what's negotiated with the county. So, you're not precluded from, if FDOT comes in on US 1 and you want to have a decorative crosswalk at US 1 and Ocean, if they allow you to construct it on their road and you meet their standards, you could certainly do that. As a city, you would just need their permission to do that on their roads.
Are you seeing in the cities that are able to do this kind of in-house mobility plan, are you seeing that, and I know this is kind of, I'm just wondering if you're seeing more cooperation on the parts of the county and the state when it comes to roads, when we have now the funding mechanism to improve roads and improve mobility, and, are we seeing kind of more cooperation, or is it, are we really just going to end up with a pocket full of cash that we can't spend because the county is, they have a project on their future plan 10 years down the line, and so they don't want us to do something if it's, so I'm just wondering if this is easing that conflict between us having a true mobility plan and having it work on, our major roadways that run east and west are not our roads. And so we run into this hiccup where we want to have that east-west connectivity, and we're tied down because we have to rely on FDOT or the county to do that. So I'm just wondering if this funding mechanism assists in that, or
Elsewhere in Florida and communities I've worked in, it's been very successful. And this has been a tool used by a lot of municipalities to advance projects and also leverage projects on both city roads, county roads, and state roads. Palm Beach County has been a different animal. Again, this legislation just went into effect October 1st of this year. So the only one that's gone fully far into this is Palm Beach Gardens. They've had theirs adopted for over 5 years now, and I'm actually, the end of this month, will be going for their first reading for their update of their plan. Since the law passed, West Palm, Village of Palm Springs have looked at moving forward with this, and there are several others that are talking. So I think now that the law has changed and it's much more clear, I think hopefully that you're going to get that greater level of cooperation. I think the state's been a more willing partner to work with municipalities. And I think, going forward, I think the county hopefully will be, as well, as more of their municipalities are looking at other options. And, ultimately for some of the projects, the county wants to fund, it really would need to look at a, extension of its sales tax, some of the high dollar amounts. That's really, when you're talking the Lions Road widening, the Havre Hills, these big projects, impact fees, mobility fees aren't paying for them. You need something bigger, but, widening a 5-foot sidewalk to a 10-foot pathway, adding in street lighting, adding in, decorative benches, landscape, that is something certainly mobility fees could fund and that the county historically hasn't funded. So my hope is with these changes and all the municipalities starting to look this route, that there will be a greater level of cooperation. Because ultimately, you all still serve the same constituents, you serve the same businesses, the same residents, and it behooves everybody to work together.
Great, thank you.
And I'd also add that, coming back to in the last 20 years, that there has only been $2 million spent, and it's been at the periphery of the city. I don't think we will be in a worse position than we currently are. I think now we have more negotiating power with these funds coming into the city to sponsor and spearhead projects, even if they're not on city roads. To us, all our roads the same. We all use them as residents. So to us, it's very little difference on which road it's on. We have the ability to negotiate now with dollars behind that negotiation, even if it's on county roads.
Great, thank you, Amanda. No, thank you. I know, when you and I spoke a week ago about this, this is a long time coming, and we were happy to see that the law kind of changed in our favor as we were pivoting in a different direction. And so I'm excited to see this move forward and recapture, those funds and really have a plan to bring more mobility to the city. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anything else from my colleagues?
Yes.
Commissioner Hay, go ahead.
If we could just, I guess the modern way to go now is the mobility fee versus the old traditional impact fee. And I'm just thinking from a implementation and an impact standpoint, what measures are in place that you know of to ensure that low-income communities are not disproportionately impacted by these fees?
So one thing that Palm Beach County has done, and the city could certainly do so itself, and it's permitted by statute, if you wanted to establish a program for, say, affordable housing in certain areas of the city, you could offer to waive those mobility fees or impact fees or reduce them for affordable housing if you had a project that came in and met the criteria for affordability. Florida statute would allow you to waive those. So that would be one of the means that some communities use to actually help mitigate some of the impact to affordable housing. So that's certainly well within your purview as a commission to do that.
So do I hear you saying, Paul, that I guess could the mobility fees then be adjusted based on the specific impact of a development rather than a flat rate?
Well, one of the things that we've done in this schedule, the county's system is a flat rate.
The flat rate?
This one is actually based on square footage. So if you build a smaller unit, you pay less. If you build a larger unit, you pay more. The counties, you pay, 5,000 square foot house pays the same as a 2,000 square foot house. As a 600 square foot tiny home pays the same amount as a 5,000 square foot house. Under this mobility fee, it's based on the square footage. So if you build a smaller unit, comparatively, you would pay less. If you build a larger unit, you would pay more. So it does have some greater tie to what a person can afford and builds versus, the flat rate that the county has for a home.
Amanda?
Just one more.
Yeah, and I'd like to add just 2 points along that note, because that decision was discussed among staff in several ways. I believe one version of this did have a different fee for affordable units. And then we decided that a proportionate share based on size would be a more fair way to go. Impact fees in general are meant to be explicitly measured by the impact of the development that you are building. This is a fee that is on the developers, not on the owners, and it's only for new development, not existing. So that being said, in areas that are underserved, are areas that we want to make sure we get mobility access in those areas as well.
Great.
Amanda?
Thank you. Just one last 'cause I have a bunch of questions on this, but we'll talk later.
Amanda?
How does this align with the city's long-term transportation and sustainability plan?
So the first step that staff did when we started on this mobility journey is actually an update to the comprehensive plan transportation element. We made those changes into the comprehensive plan to allow for a mobility fee, to allow for a different grading system of these different facilities. So it is going hand in hand with some of the policies we have set in place. Now, if this is adopted, we do have, I believe, 1 year from its adoption to go through the comprehensive plan again and make any fine-tune policy changes that we see fit based on this change.
That's it for now.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Amanda, would it be possible to use the housing fund dollars to offset the cost for these mobility fees? Similar to like the county uses an impact fee credit?
Yes, so there are credits built into the ordinance already. The credits that work on the system is if there are existing uses on the property, those have a dollar value that will be credited to whatever the new application of that property will be. Secondly, Vice Mayor Kelly is bringing an item next meeting that will talk about the Housing Trust Fund, and that is one of the programs that we could build to help, I would say, subsidize the impact fees as well.
Anything else from my colleagues? Commissioner Turkin?
Just quick question. So we still have time to play around with what those fees look like, correct?
Right now, we're scheduled for the 18th. Ultimately, if you decide to change that date or have some revisions to that, we could certainly take direction to look at those.
Okay, yeah, because, I want to try to incentivize home ownership, single-family homes in the city. I don't want to incentivize continued dense projects, and we'll have an ability to do that when we talk about the comprehensive plan. It's something I've been quite vocal about for quite some time. And so I think, looking at an opportunity to mitigate the fees for single-family homes may incentivize more of that in the city. So I just want to throw that out there and see if there's something we can do. We can't control the market, but, the market's been trending for quite a while for super dense rental housing. And, the comment about the smaller units, and again, this will be a comprehensive plan. Point two is that, is there a minimum with our code on the size of the units? 'Cause the last thing I want to see is a bunch of developers come in, they build these tiny units, and then, they don't pay the fees.
Yes, I see what you're saying. So all of our single-family residential units do have minimum size requirements, yes.
No, I'm not talking about single-family homes. I'm talking about
And
multifamily. There's no code that, I don't think there's, because we talked about it one time and it never came in front of us.
I brought
I
it
don't
up
know
a
why.
while ago.
Yeah, I remember, 2 years ago. So, my worry is, and again, this will be more of a comp plan conversation, but I'm gonna say it now, is, people who are gonna build are gonna look at these fees and they're gonna say, oh, well, I'm paying for square foot, I'm gonna get more, and I'm gonna pay less, you know what I mean? And so, this is gonna go hand in hand with a comprehensive plan overhaul.
So it does not have to be a square footage. You can direct us to do a per unit for multifamily. That's absolutely a change that we can make. If for multifamily specifically, you'd like to see a flat rate, no matter the size, but I had thought it is already that way, or am I wrong?
I think the county does that.
No, it is, yeah. So it is all, we streamlined it to be, almost all of them are per square foot, but we could do a per unit fee in lieu of a per square foot fee.
Yeah, I think this conversation's more so like requiring minimum square footage in these unit projects. And, for me, I would like to minimize the amount of impact fees, mobility fees for single-family homes. That's how you're going to incentivize more people to build throughout the city. And that's something we hear from everyone is, the traffic's horrible. We're not going to resolve it by adding more dense projects. and we can't control the market, but what we can do is incentivize people to build single-family homes. So I would like to see, the minimal amount for the single-family homes, and then continue the conversation on the multifamily.
All right, thank you. Anything else for Amanda or Jonathan? All right, with that, we do have item 6H to vote on. This was previously under consent. Proposed resolution number R25-036, adopt the City of Boynton Beach mobility fee technical report with updated mobility plan projects. May I have a motion to approve item 6H? I have a motion from Commissioner Hay. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor of approving item 6H, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody oppose? Motion passes unanimously. We're now gonna turn to the proposed ordinance number 25-002. This is only first reading. I was informed that a public comment is not required at this time. It will be had during second reading. May I have a motion to approve item 8B, proposed ordinance number 25-002? Was that a motion?
Yeah.
Motion from Commissioner Cruz and a second from Commissioner Hay. Let's turn now to the city clerk for the roll call vote.
If I could just clarify if there's any directions to make any changes to this ordinance before second reading.
I personally did not hear any, but if there's any, there is second reading.
Mr. Turkin, weren't you asking about?
Sorry.
Oh,
Can we reduce the single-family home cost?
It is possible. So what Jonathan Paul stated is that we cannot increase the fees.
Right,
But
we
if you
can
wanted
reduce them.
to decrease it by some percentage, we are able to do that. We could also do something like we did with the police impact fee, a kind of staged increase over time. Again, this is for new development of single-family homes. We are largely built out. This is really going to affect things like PUD developments, which we don't have a lot of land for either.
All right. I missed that. So are you going to bring that as a proposed change to second reading?
That is my question. If you would like, if there is consensus, we could offer up a lower percentage, but I would like, some direction what that percentage looks like, a 50% reduction, a 25% reduction, a 10%. Or if the goal is to make it equivalent to what the county has, we could do that. That's
It's actually lower, up until 2,500 square foot house, it's lower than the county. So, because it's square foot, so say somebody came in and they built a 1,000 square foot house, they would pay the county $5,800.
$650 a unit.
Under this, they would pay $2,600.
Yeah, I'd like to go even lower, because I want to incentivize home ownership, I want to incentivize single-family housing, but again, I think this conversation ties into our comp plan conversation.
That's what I thought you were going. I thought you
Yeah.
were reserving that for comp plan conversation.
No, I do want to reduce it, so maybe present some options if there's consensus for single-family home.
If
not
you could present
multifamily.
options, I'd be comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable
And-
making a decision right now based on nothing. I don't have enough
So
information.
since it's second reading, we would have to have a proposed ordinance drafted. So if you're looking to move this item to another meeting, we're happy to present options on the 18th, but there would need to be changes made to the ordinance to reflect whatever changes the commission agrees on.
If it's a matter of drafting, if they want to adopt it at that time with a plan that you come with, we just amend the ordinance after the fact.
Okay.
And it can be signed.
And
at that
just
time.
to be clear on the technical report side, would we need any changes to the technical report for a lowering or?
If you wanted to lower it based on a policy decision, no, you would not. That-
All right, then
that's a
we will
policy
bring a
decision.
couple of options that range, and we can make the decision at the 18th. Okay,
Right,
thank you for
That
that.
sounds like a plan, and then we can amend it on the spot, as council said. And prior to that, if all of you could send us some information, give us some options, so we can study it in advance. Okay, all right, we have some clarity. All right,
Commissioner Hay,
Yes.
Commissioner Turkin,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Penserga.
yes.
In a roll call vote, the motion passed unanimously.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
all.
the presentation. That concludes all of the items for this evening's agenda. If there's nothing else, may I have a motion to adjourn?
To approve.
Second.
Joan.
We have a motion from Commissioner and a second from Vice Mayor. Have a good night. This meeting is adjourned.
Valentine's Day, everyone.
That's right.